some roses on Valentine's Day? Who here sent some roses on Valentine's Day? Did you send some protein energy drinks too?
Nah, I did try that though.
Would've been a nice
That was really good.
Yeah.
I might actually buy a case of that.
If you can, remember to maybe bring the can.
Oh yeah, I can bring it.
I'll try that.
Yeah, I'll get you.
All right, moving along. We'll have a couple discussion questions within our groups today. But today we're kind of go back to the maybe traditional framework of the 4 Ps. Who remembers the 4 Ps from marketing? Raise your hand. What is it?
Product, placement, price, and promotion.
Gotcha. Product, place, price, promotion, right? Kind of a framework, an idea, a model for the most part. One thinking just the key elements that would make strategies of marketing successful. So kind of an easy thing to remember, usually, right? So someone would ask you about marketing, like, oh, do 4 Ps, right? But so much more than that, because 4 Ps is just a domain, but then we got to talk about all the dimensions of each one, right? That's kind of the traditional approach. Hey, what is the product? It's a little bit more trickier than we used to kind of conceptualize before. Product is so much more than just that physical, final thing, right? Now the product is the website, the app, the payment system, the packaging, right? Product is so much more than which we just finally think of like, okay, I finally got my phone, my laptop, right? The product goes beyond that. When we think about price, you're like, okay, well, price is a little bit more interesting than what it used to be previously, because there were, kind of strict limitations to price, right? You couldn't just switch it that quickly across maybe all sorts of spaces. If you had it in the store, it is what it is, right? Maybe depending on where you live, maybe it's slightly cheaper, slightly more expensive, because there was more just physical space, difficult to change prices across different markets. When we think of things like place, right? Think of place. Place was extremely important, right, in terms of the physical sense before. Starbucks wanted to anchor itself on particular corners and particular neighborhoods that had a lot of foot traffic, a lot of rush hour traffic, and they wanted the store to look a particular way, to exude some sort of somewhat of an Italian-esque cafe, but with a modern American spin on it, right? And that would kind of transform neighborhoods, right? Starbucks used to be a big kind of player in gentrifying neighborhoods. If you have a Starbucks in a neighborhood, you're like, oh, man, the neighborhood's changing, it's being gentrified, right? There's more, yuppies in there, young urban professionals, people who, buying new cars and new condos, right? Things started to change. The building, the construction started to change, things with this anchor. So place was important for places like Starbucks, especially McDonald's, right? Place is important for McDonald's in the sense that McDonald's needs to be located within maybe a 2-mile radius of anywhere that you are, right? That's kind of the theory there, right? Close to 40,000 stores globally, right? So like place is convenience, highly important in the sense of convenience. Same would be for Dunkin' Donuts, right? Dunkin' Donuts kind of taking on that model. Convenience is the number one thing. You think too, you're like, well, convenience is one thing, but the environment has changed. A lot of people don't have time. A lot more people are driving, right? So you're like, okay, well, guess what? Starbucks, they have way more drive-thrus now. They didn't have drive-thrus like that before. But post-COVID, you're like, people started to just say, I'm just gonna go to the drive-thru, right? And then that behavior kind of stuck around, right? So it's kind of a post-COVID world with that drive-thru. Okay, so that's place. And it goes so much more, which we'll talk about. And then promotion, right? Promotion was always interesting because it's a play on sales psychology. Right? Promotions like, okay, do you advertise extremely high price, but then you show that it's on sale 20%? Do you give rewards or a membership if you sign up? Right? When you get something extra, if you buy another one, right? Or if you buy next time you come in, here's something. But it even goes beyond that. Because first of all, like promotion is, you gotta get people's attention now, difficult, right? Extremely difficult. Think of just how much digital interaction people are doing now, right? Like, you're just constantly bombarded with next, right? Our brains are hardwired into kind of a different circuitry now, right? The circuitry is like bouncing everywhere. So it's difficult to even get people's attention of the product even promoted, right? So much competition, saturated online, you're competing against billions of products, right? So you have to think of nifty ways. And even going back to like price, like, depending on what we're selling. If we're selling something that just people only need access to, but not to physically buy, there's a different pricing model there, right? Talking about Airbnb, cloud, maybe technology, accessing some cloud data. Like, I don't need to buy a physical thing, I just need the service. Is it a tiered service? Is it a freemium, right? YouTube is free, but you gotta be annoyed by the ads, right? Spotify, right? Once again, you gotta be annoyed by the ad if you don't wanna, so you get the freemium, right? And then two, so things have completely changed because we're like, well, guess what? We're dealing now with data and technology. So some of these companies can they can change the pricing model according to the information they're getting in, just by your behavior, like they will with the algorithm. So just like you on Spotify and you add a new song, you like a new song, you listen to a song multiple times, right? The algorithm changes quickly, right? And pricing models may change according to that too. Right? They say, hey, behavior, because it's an indicator of true consumer behavior. Alright, so this lecture will just talk about elements of the marketing mix, but applied to the webosphere, right? The online content. Evaluate opportunities that the internet makes available for varying the marketing mix, right? One of the questions I will ask you maybe is something related to expanding on it, the marketing mix. Right? Because we're like, well, it's just a different landscape, it's a different environment. And then assessing the opportunity for online brand building. Some of the questions for marketers. Hey, how are the elements of the marketing mix varied online? Right? I just kind of briefly went over how they will be varied maybe in the old traditional sense, but how have things really changed? Right? What are the implications of the internet for brand development, and how the component of the mix vary online? And how are companies developing online pricing strategies? Does place even have relevance when it comes to online? Like, what does this concept of place really mean when we're talking about being online? Are we just talking just being on social media platforms, on Google, search engines, right? Things of that nature? Or does it go beyond that? Is it even relevant? Okay, so talk about the 4 P's. And then we got the 4 C's, right? We're like, hey, price is related to cost. What you charge has a relationship in terms of cost of goods. So what it costs you to buy it. Right? So like how Nike has a particular strategy. One, they're like, well, we probably can't get most of the stuff made here in America because one, either our profit margin becomes lower, 2, the product becomes so expensive that we want to keep the same profit margin or expand our profit margin. Right? 3, labor-intensive product. 4, the technology and experience in creating like really high-grade shoes may not be there. It may take longer wait times. Right? So we say, hey, China has become the global factory of the world. Right? So China is kind of the go-to. Beyond China, there's other places too, right? In East Asia, places like Bangladesh, Vietnam, Cambodia, Philippines. Right? You'll see a lot of that on clothing, right? Where say maybe India has become the office of the world, call customer service. And although China has kind of expanded that too, because now you call customer service, you may hear a Chinese immigrant. Used to be you call India, right? Because India, so you call where the labor is kind of adapted to a particular activities. All right, so product is related to cost. What does it cost you? Indicative of ultimately what you will charge, right? And it's also perception of value too to customers, right? Because you're like, okay, now have you diluted the product because of your pricing strategy? You're like, people don't view it the same. And people are symbolic creatures. You and I and everyone else see things in symbols, right? It was quick, instantaneous. We're like, oh man, the product kind of fell off a little bit, right? They're not the same, right? Or you're like, hey, this product's here really expensive. So expensive, you might view it in a different category now, or you like so expensive that you just won't buy it. It's not worth it because you perceived it as a lower grade product. And they try to change the price, or they try to change the cost, right? So product and cost, right? Product and cost, highly related to one another, right? Because it's gonna cost you for packaging, for labeling, to get the product to be something of quality, if that's your thing. It may not be quality, right? But you still have some relation to cost. All right, communications with the company, right? Important. Communications on two sides. One as a marketing manager. You're like, yeah, I see the data that's coming in, I see the trends, I see the styles are changing, I see the desires of customers' wants are changing. I need to communicate that in a way as a marketing manager so that we make changes, right? We have to do something based on trends, information, consumer behavior, et cetera, et cetera. Right? And second of all, you have to communicate, customers are communicating with you. So you're like, I don't care what customers say, I'm gonna push the same old product out there. They're like, well, guess what? Now you fail, right? Because you don't listen, right? And then other companies may say, you know what? All the information we receive every day on how many times people click, what else they look at, we're gonna use all that information and we're gonna constantly adapt to our consumers' needs and behavior. Maybe you don't adapt all the way because you wanna leave room for innovation for new customers, right? So some things you have to consider. Old customers, new customers, loyal customers. But communications is important, both within the company and the outside consumer base with the company, right? We're talking about feedback and social proof in order, to get like reviews up. Reviews are important, because usually people just kind of go off the reviews, say the things like Amazon. Important. All right, customers' needs and wants, right? They're kind of related here to place. That's important. All right, customers' needs and wants, different. Right? There's things that we need, and we're like, okay, items of utility, right? Things that we have to utilize. We need shoes of some sort, right? But our wants are different, right? We need shoes, but we may not, but we want the most luxury shoes. Right? We need socks, but we want some graphic socks. Right? We need food, but people want fancy organic, right? Or something that is perceived to be healthy. So we have to we have to be very aware of these needs and wants, right? When we change things, adapt. Even if it's just minute changes, you change the label, you change the perception, right? So that inevitably you don't even change the product, you just change how the customer perceives the product in order to buy it at some point, right? Small things. And then convenience, huge. Right, think about this. You're like, hey, you start a website, but can you check out what Apple Pay? Can you check out what Google Pay? Can you check out what Android Pay, Samsung Pay? You're like, no, you gotta put in all your credit card information. You're like, well, that's a hassle. You gotta pull that out. Okay, if I gotta do that, will you allow me to scan it with my phone, QR wanted to do it with Apple Pay. I felt safe, it's encrypted, it's in my digital wallet. Like, hey, maybe I should do that. My customers value it because they want it quick. Right? Think about too with customer convenience. You're like, well, okay, well, I can't afford it now, or I don't want to pay all the money now. Do they accept some sort of installment payment? Like Klarna, what's the other one? This other installment thing besides Klarna, Afterpay, right? I think of maybe for your age group, you're like, okay, you don't have that much money, but you still want some cool stuff, you might do Afterpay, Klarna, pay it like, every month or something like that. Right? Are those being offered, and they're offered by our customers, offered by competitors have a way bigger advantage. Okay, and then, so going back over here to product, we say, hey, product is what? Right? It's almost like we have this SaaS, right? Almost service as a product kind of concept. Right? You're like, hey, the product goes beyond a physical thing. The product is the customer service. Like, I can return the product, which is great. Right? With Amazon has maybe co-opted with, say, UPS stores, and they start having, well, Amazon drop-off, right? Convenience for you to pick it up if you're not home, convenience to you to drop it off if you need to return it, if it's broken, missing parts, if you don't like it for some reason, get a refund. But all of that is the product of Amazon. People value that, right? People value like, hey, Amazon is really flexible, and I value flexibility. So that's all perceived as a product. But even beyond that, if you're not in Amazon, like, okay, you have your physical product, it's nice, right? You have an idea of the concepts that you think customers would desire. But your packaging is not really persuasive, right? You have subpar packaging. Your labeling even is not really good, right? It kind of looks really subpar compared to others. Right? All of that is considered perceived goodness of a product, right? So something to consider. All right, now we say price, right? You're like, hey, sometimes there's a tier, right? There's tiered pricing. We talk, freemiums, right? The tiered pricing, like say Adobe, right? Adobe wants you as a student, right? And you're professional, or you're educator, all different types of pricing. Think of maybe the TV apps, right? The TV apps. You're like, okay, you could buy the one, but it still has ads, and it's a little bit cheaper. You could buy the one with no ads, and then you could buy the premium version where you can get all premium content. So even those distributors are like, hey, let's not put all our content out there for all the different memberships. Let's segment each membership. You're only able to access certain things based on what you're paying per month. Right? That could be all part of a pricing strategy. So it's like pricing strategy is important. And then place. So online, in terms of place, being online is challenging. Right? You want to be as many places as possible, right? But you don't want to be a known. Right? Don't want to be a known. But you do want to be as many places as possible so that people don't forget that you exist. And then promotion, kind of all things we talked about, the clever ways we can go about promotions. Hey, which variables are important for the ideal customer? All right, so let me ask you as a class, what do you think right now in terms of you? You're a consumer, right? You buy, you shop online. So which variable are the most important for you right now? Is it the price and quality, or maybe the place where you buy it, right? Or the promo. We can add maybe the promotion. What's the most important thing to you? Is it where you buy? Meaning like, hey, I don't look at all those places. I'll never see that stuff. So I'm only on certain apps, websites, right? Or you're like, no, I like everywhere. Well, Is it the ease of use of checking out or something? The quality, the security of that, or is it just the quality of the product? What is, you think is the kind of ideal or the most important variable for you right now? Yes.
I think price and quality, especially if it's online, because you're not gonna be able to physically assess it, so you're not gonna know, you have to like look at reviews to truly be like, is this worth it? Like if something is like $1, is the quality of it still good, or should I just go and pay something?
Yeah, absolutely. You're like, yeah, I don't have the luxury, the thing with the internet, you don't have the luxury of really seeing, touching it, right? Now you may be like, okay, maybe some websites allow you to 3D. Like, okay, see, then you see the reviews, and then you see somebody put an actual video review of it in the house, using it in some way, right? But still, there's something missing, because you're not physically seeing the product. I don't know what the quality is based on how I'm gonna use it. Right, so there's a limitation in information there. So you may say, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna go with social proof, you know, what others are saying about it, on how good it is, the reviews, the number of stars it has, things of that nature. Why? Because I'm at risk of it breaking, and it being just a very poor quality thing. But are you willing to pay top notch for that? Or are you like, yeah, I need moderate quality, right? Okay. What about the rest of you? This is like, hey, you know what? I don't look everywhere. I only look certain places, so I'll never see that. Or you're like, hey, you know what? It's still price and quality really, really matters. And those who have the best price with the best quality ones, right? In a sense, like you basically get the most for your money. Okay? Traditionally, that was the approach. Hey, whoever you get the most for your money. You bought that laptop because it met the right price, right quality, the right need. Or you're like, no, I want it to go above and beyond, and I'll pay for it. Anyone here buys products that go above and beyond, that actually there's a high cost to it? You don't mind that. Okay. You know, most of you are probably in some financial needs, right? So I'm pretty sure there's has to still kind of be some price. All right, using the internet, right? So we say this is the marketing mix. I'll see if I can kind of blow that up. Okay, maybe it can't blow up no further than that. Okay, so what is quality? What is product, rather? Product is quality. Product is the image that it gives. Who are my Microsoft Surface Pro people? I only got one Microsoft Surface Pro. The best thing out there, right? Right, that's our perception. So for the Microsoft Surface Pro people, like, dude, it's a full laptop, the keyboard pops off, right? Then it becomes a tablet, has a pen, it would draw just like that Apple Pencil. And it's integrated with all Microsoft stuff, which if you're just kind of a business person or student, you like, just make things simple, PowerPoint, Excel, blah, 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 blah. Right? So like for us, we're kind of like, win-win, and it's affordable. You probably can get that on eBay for like $500 brand new, like the newest version. Maybe, right? So you're like, you can get maybe a couple models back for like $300. Right, and then the Apple people, right? The Apple people have an image. You're like, what are you buying? You bought the ecosystem. I bought Apple's ecosystem, an operating system. It's all integrated. You might have the phone, the tablet, the laptop. Somebody calls you, come up on a laptop, FaceTime, you know, crossover, pick up where you left off on a different device. And you're like, wow, that's awesome. Right? An ecosystem might be extremely powerful in terms of the image. You're buying Apple's ecosystem. Right? Branding is huge too. Now Microsoft Surface Pro, you're like, okay, whatever, it's Microsoft. Microsoft is not perceived as sleek, cool as Apple. It's just not, right? but it's for work. It's perceived as get it done and get it done quick, right? Some of us buy for features, all sorts of things that the product can do. Variance, right? Mix of the products, the support, the customer service, the use of it, the occasion, availability, and even warranties, right? They're like, hey, the product, you're buying a car needs insurance, and it'd be pretty nice if it had a warranty in case it breaks, and you don't have to pay thousands of dollars. So part of you buying a car, huge part of it, is kind of a warranty, right? The warranty is important, because what happens with the transmission, if the engine goes on, something of the sort. So safety and security could be part of the product, right? Having you sleep good at night without having something that you spent a lot of money on, knowing that if anything goes wrong, you can do something. Okay, and then promotion, right? We say it's part of communications, right? There's things like personal promotion. Personal promotion, like, hey, can you personalize it? Can you change the color? Can you change the colorway of the shoes? Can you change the color of the car? Can you add different features right on your app, right on your laptop, right on your mobile phone? Can you personalize the product? And that is a very strong promotional tool, because we all like things that a little bit more unique, personalized to us, right? We don't want something everybody has, because then it kind of loses value in our mind, right? All right, the sales promotion, right? What kind of trick are they using? The PR, let me say that's even important now because of politics, right? You want to make sure that things are good social standing with the environment and consumer base. Customers perceive it to be negative, like, hey, the company I buy from is in the Epstein files, right? You might kind of not want to buy it, right? Who got products here from the Epstein files? Raise your hand. And then direct marketing, things that could be towards you. Could you set up the algorithm to where it says the person's name? When they send you the ad, it says your name and it's different. It's in my first name. And they promote it to me. That might be highly effective marketing. Price, positioning, right? When we say price, we're like, well, okay, if you make it lower so it drives demand and sell it. They're like, okay, once you may do that to drive demand, but now people expect it to be cheap. Now when we try to put it back to normal price again, nobody buys it. Right? So positioning, where you have to stick very strongly with your position. In the minds of consumers, where you position. Are you luxury? Are you middle of the road? Are you cheap, affordable? What is your position when it comes to price? Right? How do you rank up against competitors? List price, right? You say, okay, whatever's listed is what you're gonna pay. Or we say discounts, credit, right? We can offer you buy it now, pay it later. Buy it now, pay it later. Payment methods. Maybe we'll do some sort of mobile wallet pay system, right? Free or value-added elements, right? Once again, you sign up for all the social media stuff for free, but there's some value-added elements to it. Place matters too, right? In the traditional sense, physically, like, place matters because how long it's gonna take to get the stuff to the store, right? So think about that in a simple way. Like, let's say you have a convenience store, right? And you're like, well, depending on where I'm located, depending on who my suppliers are to put pop, chips, other grocery items in here, how long is that turnaround? If they're far away, a lot of customers come in and you're always out of stock, right? Here, we're kind of the same thing too, right? Because you have to service the needs of people if you have to offer. So you're like, depending on where you are located with your trade channels, right? Could depend on how quickly people can get their product to the house, right? So that they're satisfied. Other things, sales support, really depending on what you're selling, right? The number of channels that you use, all the social media, website, app, email, etc. And then people, the people element of it. We say, hey, those who have maybe culture and image, right? We celebrity sponsorship, social media influence. And then process of physical evidence, we'll come back to that. But, all right, here's my first question for the day within our groups. Actually, I get two for it. Okay. Here we go. All right, two questions for your groups here. Hey, are the traditional 4 Ps that we just talked about, price, place, promotion, product, are they still sufficient in explaining digital platforms, or do they require expansion? Like, can you think of kind of any dimension you could go beyond, that you're like, it should be 7 Ps or something, right? It should include some other element of some sort, or is it still just the concept of 4 Ps in terms of relevance in the digital economy? Second question, hey, in a data-driven environment, which one of the 4 Ps has become most strategically dominant? Right, so in this environment, the digital environment, like, which one of these are the most dominant out of the 4 Ps, and why? Why is it the most important relevant thing? All right, so I give you a couple minutes to talk about this within your groups and debate.
No matter the price, no matter the product, and no matter the place that you can do it. If you can promote it on a broad scale, if you can promote it enough, people will go and buy it no matter the price. And if it's a product, it's good. Promotion is what's going your way. don't know how to promote. You gotta be able to,
Like the pop-up.
you gotta be able to make people want to sell on it. Then people will buy the product regardless of price if you know how to sell it correctly.
I feel like the top two.
And seriously marketing. I was sitting right there.
I mean, I guess I feel like in terms of able to stay more, like, more engaged with customers in real time, or something along those lines, I feel like. So I guess I would either go promotion in that sense, like, I guess, see real-time information, or even, I don't know, I guess, probably promotion, but I also could have said, starting at a price, I guess, again, because the information, like, you can change your mind quicker than probably promotion.
Does anybody have any blurbs today this year? Anyone else, any blurbs? All right, let's try to continue our blurbs, so maybe Wednesday have some to contribute.
I sent you a blurb.
Last week? Okay, I'll pull it. All right, anyone need a couple more minutes? All right, let's start in the back today. What were your thoughts? That first question up here, what were your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I feel like everything, is sufficient as it is, but if we had to make a change, place, would be probably one that you don't have to worry about too much, because product, price, and promotion all work together in one. Place, it's pretty much just, you go on the internet, you pretty much find everything there. It's easy to find, and, some places are more self-explanatory. If you wanna get flowers, you go to a greenhouse.
In terms of placing yourself, maybe maximize where you are as a company, as a brand,
Yeah.
is that important for everyone, or do you feel like, hey, maybe you should have exclusive placement?
Mm.
Like you only should be located certain places,
Yeah.
or do you think like, nah, that's ineffective, like you gotta be everywhere because, I don't know, people just wanna know who you are or something.
Yeah, and I mean, just like being on the internet, it's the easiest way to get that stuff out, and with that product, you get enough people to get onto that, and, if we can go on to the next question, which is hence why promotion is the most dominant out of the four.
Yeah.
Because, regardless of price and regardless of the product, if you can sell that product for enough price, people will buy it regardless of price if you know how to promote it correctly.
Yeah,
So,
so you're like, hey, in this environment, price may not be the dominant thing, it's how you sell it to people that's the dominant thing.
yeah.
It's keeping it interesting and somewhere in their mind that'll ultimately lead them to buy it. Right? It's not necessarily what the cost of it is. Okay.
Hence the purpose of marketing, so.
Gotcha. How about in the back over here? What were your thoughts?